Yes, I have already placed one video on. I just recorded a lecture, and the link was there. Did you see that lecture there? Anyone? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So this is the course, remember, engineering economics, and this course is both theory and practical. So you'll have questions where there will be a problem solving as well as some theory questions. Assessment of this course will be the standard assessment, chapter 1 to 12. I already discussed them in the video as well. The same thing I'm just repeating. Right? Why do engineer need to study this course? Okay, what is the reason? This is also available in that video recording. This slide also we discuss what is engineering economics, why do we study, what is economics, and what is engineering economics, and that's how we start. And I'm just skipping these slides. The reason is that I already put a recording for them on Blackboard. And I think what is the role of engineers, and then from here I will start. Yes, is it clear? This is for chapter number 1. We are at chapter number 1. Is it clear, Faris? Okay, now what are the different types of business organizations we have? Why do we need this information? Remember, first of all, you need to understand that as an engineer, you have, after graduating, yes, they are included there, and this recording for this slide is already available on in the link. It's there. Okay, is it clear, Khalid? No, actually, I will not be posting videos. We'll have an online class like this one. It is important for you to attend live classes, because if you have any questions, you can ask a question. Okay, so I will not be recording videos. Only I'll be taking online classes, and if there is a need, I will put online the video recording only. Otherwise, we'll have online recording and you may watch them later on. It's up to you. If you have any question about assessment, about a textbook, you can ask me now. Anyone has any issue with the textbook, with assessment, any clarification you would like, you can ask me. Otherwise, I will continue. Quizzes will be online. It will be MCQs, calculation depending on the chapter and material. Slides are enough. Yes, they would be enough, but you need to, if you want to especially understand some more questions, because you have a questions in theory, so you have to go back to the book as well. But most of the things which are in the book, I'm covering in the slide, but it is recommended to continue reading the book as well. Midterm and final will not be online, they will be on campus. as per the college policy. Quizzes, assignments will be online, but midterm theory and final theory will be on campus. Okay, so I'll continue. Thank you very much. Now, types of business organization. Remember, as an engineer, when you graduate, you'll be working in different form of organizations. So these type of business organization, there are three types. Any business, whether you work in SABIC, whether you work in Abdul Latif Jameel, whether you work in Kifah or small firm or a large firm, they will be registered under these three categories. There are three types of business organizations, right? We call them a legal form of a businesses, right? That's why we use the word legal form of businesses, right? And each form of a business has its own advantage and disadvantage, right? So they are proprietorship, partnership, and corporations. Why we call them a business form of organization? Because it all depends on the ownership. Each size depends on ownership. Ownership means who is the owner, who has the claim on the assets or resources, who own the resources of an organization is the owners. Who are the owners? It depends how the business is registered, right? Means who is the owner. Under proprietorship, business is owned by one individual. This is what we call it, proprietorship. If a business is registered by more than one person, means they are partners, but the ownership is established by written contract. Partnership can be within a family members, with friends, or whoever it is, right? But important thing is how the business is registered with, let's say, you can call it a small organization, yes, but the important thing is not small or large. The important thing is how the business is registered and who are the owners. If a business is owned by one person, one individual, then it is a proprietorship. It can be a small business or it can be a large business. It can be a large organization. Okay. The point here is proprietorship is a business owned by one individual. Partnership is a business owned by more than one owner. And the partnership is established based on written contract. Written contract specifies what are the terms and conditions, right? How profit will be distributed, how much capital will be contributed by each partner, if there is a loss, how the loss will be distributed, if partner is working and he is taking salary, for example. So all these terms and conditions will be mentioned in the written contract. Okay. Then next one is corporations, or we call it shiraka. Now, corporations is what will be the focus of our case here. Corporations. What is a corporation? It is a legal entity. What do we mean by legal entity? That it has its own identification. You can take a loan, you can make an agreement, you can have a contract as an organization. And how it is created? It is under created some law. What is the law here in Saudi Arabia? We call it capital market law, or Hayya Suq al Maliya in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Now, what is a corporation? Aramco is a corporation. SABIC is a corporation. Okay. Abdul Latif Jameel is not a corporation. Why it is not a corporation and why Aramco is a corporation? Corporation means very simple rule that it is available on Tadawul. I know you have an idea about a Saudi stock exchange or Tadawul. Any corporation which is listed on Tadawul is a corporation. So SABIC is corporation. Royal Commission is not a corporation. It can be called organization. Royal Commission is a government organization, but it is not a corporation because it is not listed on stock exchange. Okay, so these are the three types of business organizations which you would be working upon graduation. So that's why it is important. Even if you look at how the firms are established, normally if you have a new firm you are starting, it is easy to establish. Yes, exactly, Ibrahim. Being on Tadawul and Saudi Stock Exchange, yes, it is what makes an entity a corporation. Yes, within our local environment, that's what you can say. Okay, and for a corporation, it says here owners and managers are different. Who are the owners of Aramco, for example, or who are the owners of SABIC? Whoever is the shareholder are the owners. Remember, if I have 100 shares out of 200 billion shares for Aramco, for example, so I am the owner for the percentage of shares I have. But I don't have a day-to-day role in the business. Who has the day-to-day role in the business is the managers of Aramco or SABIC. So that's why in corporations, owners and managers are different. And they have their own advantages and disadvantages for each organization. A sole proprietorship means an organization. Yes, these slides are available on Blackboard. Let me see. Okay, it is available. On Blackboard, actually, they look different from the one in Blackboard. No, they are same. What is the difference? I'll see. Anyhow, there is no much difference. I'll see. I think I don't know. Right now, the Blackboard is not available, but luckily our class is available now because now no courses are available on the Blackboard. There are some update going on, I think. I hope you are listening to me. We are continuing with our classes. Okay. Anyhow, I will check and update it if there is something different. So sole proprietorship. What are the advantage of sole proprietorship? Right. What are the benefits, in other words? What are the benefits of sole proprietorship? Understand. A proprietorship, basically, you need to understand why we are looking at it. Normally, the famous businesses like Apple, Microsoft, all of them started by some individual as a single owner. Right, then the business grows. That's how the business grows. You start a business as sole proprietorship, right, and then it becomes a partnership. You hire, for example, you make a partnership with others if you need more capital, if you need more expertise. Yeah, it's okay, no problem. Okay. Anyhow, if you are leaving, you can just put your status away and you can leave. You don't need to ask me a question, permission. Just put a status away and you can leave. So, what are the advantages of a proprietorship? Or, in other words, yes, please, Ibrahim, you can type a question if you have something. Yes, Ibrahim, if you have question, you raised an hand. So, if you have question, just type in there. Okay. Now, advantages of sole proprietorship are that whenever you start a business as a sole proprietorship, advantage is first one individual owner is the one who owns all the assets and he is responsible for all the policies. So you have a one individual owner and he is responsible for all the firm's policies. He owns all its assets. He has the Malkiya ownership, and proprietorship are easy to start up, easy to register the business as a corporation. It's easy. Also easy to manage because it's a small organization and you are the only one. You don't have to follow someone's instructions. Ease of managing, and whenever you have a profit, you keep all of the profit because profit belongs to the owners. You don't have to share it. In partnership, you share the profit. Also in corporation, you share the profit. Okay, but in a sole proprietorship, you keep all the profit and you don't have to pay any business tax. What do we mean by this one? Business tax. Actually, in US, we don't have a tax here. In US, there are two types of taxes. One is a personal tax and one is a business tax. Personal tax is on individual and the tax rate is different. I'll come to it on the next slide. Partnership and corporations. Muhammad. Next slide we'll discuss. We'll go one by one. So business tax can be personal or it can be a business tax. But as I said, luckily here we don't have a tax in, we have the riba, for example, that is on sales, right? But normally you have a tax, as I said, tax is personal tax, right? Or we call it a business tax. There is a tax rate. So personal tax maybe in US it is 5% to let's say 20%, normally in this range, but in business the tax rate maybe is 30% of your income until sometimes it depends on the business up to 50%. Okay, so tax rate is different, but if your business is registered as a sole proprietorship, you pay a tax based on personal tax rate, which are less. Okay, so that's why it is one of the advantage. What are the disadvantages of a partnership? It can be, it has unlimited liability. Now this concept, you will see it many times. Unlimited liability. Unlimited, we know that there is no limit on something, but liability means your obligation. For example, you have taken a loan, we call it debts. Let's say for Al-Kifah, you are the owner of Al-Kifah, as an example here, right? That you have a loan from a bank, right? And you cannot pay a loan. Let's say your business is defaulted, you cannot pay a loan. Now, what is your responsibility? Your obligation is unlimited, means your liability is unlimited. You have to pay this loan even from your personal belongings. You have to sell your personal car, your home, whatever it is. So you have a personal obligation for debts and liabilities of the business. Okay. But in case of a corporation, imagine I have 100 shares of Aramco, and Aramco has taken a loan of 100 billion. If they cannot pay it, so I'm not responsible. Maximum I lose is the value of my share. No one will buy the share from me, for example, right? So that's why you have a limited liability in a corporation, but for unlimited liabilities, owner are personally responsible if a business cannot pay their loan. Another disadvantage in a corporate, in partnership, in proprietorship, it is difficult to raise financial capital. You cannot sell shares. Just like Aramco, you cannot sell a share, or like SABIC, right? You cannot issue shares. And if your business is registered as a sole proprietorship, you cannot issue shares on, or you cannot sell shares on Tadawul. Of course, for a sole proprietorship, it has a limited size and efficiency is limited because it's a small organization. You have a limited managerial experience. You are not expert on everything. So you have a limited managerial experience. So the owner is not expert on technical side as well as business side, right? So you have a limited managerial experience in sole proprietorship. When you look at a partnership, yes, Ibrahim, sole proprietorship can declare a bankruptcy, but they will not get a support from the government. Yes, second point, is it about limited managerial experience and limited size and efficiency? Yes, can you elaborate, Khalid? What exactly is your question? Difficulty in raising financial capital. Now, difficulty means, yes, as a proprietorship, for example, you start a business, just imagine you cannot easily get the money. Okay, let's say you started a small shop, small business. For you, if you approach a bank, they will not give you loan easily. As compared to SABIC or Aramco, for example, one way of getting a capital is either you take a loan from a bank or you sell your shares. Okay, so it is difficult to raise a capital if the business is registered as a sole proprietorship. This is the reason. How can you raise a capital? There are two ways. Either you issue your own shares, we call it equity, or you take a loan, we call it debt. Okay. If a business is registered as a sole proprietorship, it is difficult for them to raise capital. First of all, they cannot issue shares. You have to register your business as a corporation to sell shares. That was the point. I hope it's clear now. Ask them. Yeah, actually, just now the link is not, Blackboard is not available. So ask them to join through this link. Maybe it will work, right? Right now, actually, no course is available. I just try to look at it. Maybe there are some update going on. So ask them to join through this link. Just share this link. I think they can join directly through the link. Abdullah Fahad. Okay, just share it with in the group. Okay, thank you. Now, partnership, which is another form of a business organization where more than one owner, and it is through written contract. Now, what are the advantages if there is a partnership? You have low cost, because cost can be shared by the partner. Remember, if there is, it was a one person before, if it is more than one person, so they share their cost. And it is again just like proprietorship, it is easy to establish. Means you can register your firm in the Ghurfa Tajariya or whatever it is, the concerned organization which gives approval. Easy to manage. Why easy to manage? Ease of management, because each partner has different things to offer, different expertise. Maybe one is expert in technical, one is expert in something else, one has some other expertise. So instead of managing by yourself as compared to proprietorship, here the responsibility is shared by other partners. Again, for taxes, you don't have a special business tax. Same thing, partner is taxed on the personal tax rate. Now, raising financial capital is easier as compared to the sole proprietorship, because you have more than one person, right? So they can contribute their capital, right? Their investment. Okay. And also, normally partnership is larger than the sole proprietorships. The size increases, so you increase the partners. Now, what are the disadvantages of a partnership? You have unlimited liability. Same thing in a sole proprietorship. Means each partner is personally responsible for all the debts. You are personally responsible if a business cannot pay the loan. Partnership has limited life. What do we mean by limited life? If a one partner leaves, you say, I'm quitting the business. The partnership finish. You have to write a new contract for new partners. Or if a person dies, partnership finish. You have to write a new contract. Another issue, you could have conflict between partners. One partner is saying something else. Something could be else as well. So there could be differences between partners. What product to sell, what not to sell, what to do. So there could be conflicts. Okay. Now normally hospitals are registered as a partners. Law firms, engineering firms, for example, let's say if you have, after graduating, you get an experience and then you start your own consulting firms. As an engineering consulting firms, for example, you can register and you provide advices, consultation. This happens. There are engineering consultant firms, they registered as partners. Okay, this could be a one form of organization. For a corporation, as we said, it can be registered on Tadawul. Yeah, it's okay. Yes, no problem. Yes, Abdulaziz Asiri, no problem. A corporation is a legal entity, right? Legal entity means SABIC can make an agreement. Remember, if there is an agreement between SABIC and some other organization, let's say SABIC and Ma'aden, so both can, form an agreement. That agreement is between two organizations. They have their own legal entity. Okay. In terms of sole proprietorship, if there is an agreement, it is between two persons. Okay. But here it is between two corporation. If one person leaves, the contract stays as it is. Okay. So that's why we are calling a corporation as a legal entity created under some law. That's why we have mentioned here in our slide here, provincial or federal law. This is what it is mentioned in our book, because in US there could be provincial or state or federal laws under which the companies or a corporation register. Here in Saudi Arabia, we have a capital market law. That's what was mentioned in the previous slide. Owners and managers are different. What do we mean by owners? Shareholders are the owners, remember. Any corporation, shareholders are the owners, but shareholders could be in million and billions, right? If I look at the shareholders of, let's say, Aramco, for example, there could be maybe 200, there are 200 billion shares, right? And there are millions of shareholders. Okay. Now, in this case, how can we manage the organization? Who makes the decision about organization? So what shareholders are doing, they are appointing board of directors. These are 4 or 5 persons, right, appointed by shareholders through a meeting or through voting rights. Basically, there are votings. Through voting, they appoint board directors, 4 to 5%. Of course, whoever has the majority of the shares, they can dictate who should be in the board of directors. So board of directors may be just, let's say, 4 to 5 members, and they are all owners. Remember, they are all owners for a corporations. But again, what they are doing, they are not doing day-to-day activities. What they are doing is they are hiring managers, Rais Tanfizi, CEO, right, or CFOs, or some engineers, right? They appoint them, whatever title you call it. It could be president, director, CEO, Madir Am, whatever title, right, is not important. Is different organization use different titles, right? So what is important is that they are appointed by the board of directors, and then they hire, for example, in SABIC, they lead different companies within SABIC. What products to sell, what should be the discount, what engineering method to use, what machines to be used. All these decisions are taken by managers or their appointed employees. Day-to-day operations, board of directors have no role in day-to-day operations. They only give guidelines about profit or something every year to the managers, and managers run the business, and at the end they report back to board of directors annually about their performance. So managers and owners are different in corporations. Is it clear? If there is any question on this slide, let me know. Now for corporations, what are the advantages of a corporations? As we said that the main advantage for a corporation is easy of raising capital. You can sell stocks. Stock means shares. Remember, this is just a name, another name for stock. Shares, it is stock. So stock is just another name. It is shares, right? Remember, you can sell shares. Sound lagging. Is it only for you or other students as well? Muhammad, is it for you? I think other students are okay. Anyone else facing a problem? Okay. So maybe Khalid, it's the, yes. So the internet connection at your side. But anyhow, recording will be available. So you may watch the recording again. So it will be clear. Now, one of the main advantage for a corporation, as I said, it is to sell shares or stocks. Also, they can sell bonds. Now, what is a bond? Sukuk, we call it here, a suk, right? is a loan, right? A bond is also, you give a loan to a company and they pay you, they return you those loans, those bonds after maturity with profit. Okay. In Saudi stock market, both are available. Companies sell shares as well as bonds or sukuk, right? For the word for here in Saudi stock market, this is the word use. If you go to Tadawul, it is available there, but not for me and you to buy. This is for individual investors. Only for us, you can buy shares. Sukuk or bond is same thing. If you sell bonds, so what you are doing, you pay the original amount, right, at maturity. Let's say bond was for 50,000 real. So after 5 years, a company will return 50,000 real with profit. This is what we call it bonds. This one is only possible if your business is registered as a corporation. Now, transferring of ownership is easy. Why it is easy? Because buying and selling stock is easy. Selling shares, you just log into your website, bank website, and buy and sell shares. So when you sell shares, basically you transfer the ownership. As compared to proprietorship or a partnership, transferring ownership is not easy. Even right now we are taking this course, someone is buying and selling the shares of SABIC, so it means ownership is being transferred. Okay, so this is also the one advantage of a corporation. Also, the owner has, or shareholder, they have limited liability, meaning that if a corporation like SABIC cannot pay a loan, shareholders are not personally responsible. They have limited liability, right? For example, if you have a share and let's say a company goes bankrupt, so maximum you lose is your share. No one will buy the value of your share. It will have a zero value, for example. Okay. But the tax for a corporation, it is a different tax than proprietorship and a partnership. Tax rate is higher, right? As I already explained in the previous slides. But the life is unlimited. It has unlimited life. For a corporation, it has unlimited life, not limited. Unlimited means if a person leaves, CEO leaves, one shareholder leave, still corporation will continue. What are the disadvantages of a corporations? That startup expenses are very high. You have to registering, you have to hire banks, right? It's not easy to start a corporation. It is expensive. Profits are taxed at a high rate because for a corporate tax rate is high, and corporations are also subject to strict government regulation. There are so many government regulations a corporation has to follow. How they should, there should be audit, who should be board of directors, how you should select board of directors. There are a lot of requirements by the government for a corporation. Okay, why there is a lot of strict requirement? Because public money is invested. Anyone from the public can buy and sell the shares. So it is the role of the government to make sure that those corporations follow the government regulations, and it is the job of the government to protect the interest of the common people. Okay, so that is the reason that there are more strict government regulations. List of corporations you can find out. You can go to Saudi Stock Exchange, right, or we call it Tadawul or a market, and see list of listed companies. So any listed company which are listed there is corporation. Now for engineer, they have to make, remember why we are studying. First of all, you have to see the link between engineering and economic. This is what the course you are saying, it's a combination. Now engineering, for example, as an engineer, what you do, always remember, in real life you will be making decisions. As we know that what is the basic job of engineer is to translate different scientific ideas into product and services, or to solve problems, right? In order to solve problem, what you are doing is, always remember, you have to make a plan, right? There is planning. Let's say whether to use CNC lathe machine or manual lathe machine. Why you are replacing one machine to another? What is the reason? You have to make a plan. That plan should other than not only the technical details of those machines, but economic benefits will be generated. Okay, what benefits will be generated? Economics means in terms of money. You may say, okay, if we replace lathe machine with CNC, so first of all we will have less wastage. Less means you have to give some numbers. What is the amount of saving you will get it by purchasing machine X, for example? What are the other benefits? So you need some numbers to convince someone, so you have to make a plan. Okay, but in order to make those plans, you have to see how much money or how much investment is required to purchase that machine. Okay, whatever you are doing, then after this one you start operations or manufacturing. Okay, but again, as an engineer, always you are making the decisions. You are the one who will be making decisions at a planning level, at an investment level, at a manufacturing level, or at marketing level, which product to sell, how it will be sold, right? And then this is how you generate a profit for a corporation. So you need to have these understandings. That's why you are making the decision. And how to make these decisions, you need to have an understanding of certain concepts in engineering economics or in economics, certain terminologies, certain techniques, certain tools you need to learn. That is what we will see in this course. So don't consider this course as a theory only. You have a chapter 1 which is only based on theoretical background. Okay, how do we measure a profit? You need accounting, and this one will be in chapter number 2, which deals with, for example, accounting. It will be done in chapter number 2. What are financial statements? What do we mean by profit? Certain terminologies. So this is what you will learn in this course. As an example, imagine whenever anyone make decision about future, right? Whenever you make a decision, what we are doing, we are predicting the future. Remember, you say, okay, we need to use CNC lathe machine because it will reduce the cost of 1 million every year for next 10 years. So this is what you are estimating. Remember, you are predicting. So economic decisions, it is just an estimate. Okay, because you have to make a decision, estimate. Now, for example, these are just some example. You are planning to acquire some equipment. It can be, what is the equipment? Can be machine, can be anything equipment. If you are a civil engineer, what are the equipment you need for construction? You have to plan for a certain project, right? What are the equipment you need for a construction, whether you are working in any construction project? Okay, someone has to plan, right? Remember, who has to plan? These are engineers. Okay, what is the required investment you need? Okay, what investment you will be needing Imagine you are an engineer working in NEOM on certain project. So you have to estimate what material, what will be the cost, how much investment you need from the owners or from the capital providers. Okay, and when you manufacture something, let's say you are manufacturing cars or bicycles, what will be the manufacturing cost for one cycle? You have to estimate it. Again, it is an estimate. You'll find out what is the material you need, what labor cost will be there, what will be some other cost, overheads we call it. So you have a manufacturing cost. So this is our plan. Remember, this is the plan for any product which you would like to sell. After you plan it, you manufacture it. Okay, how many we can sell? What will be the demand for our product? Again, it will be an estimate. Who will be doing this one? Engineers, believe me. This will be your job to estimate the demand of your product. How many products you will sell? Again, how many you will sell? So basically, it is an estimate which may not be true, which may be true. Okay. What would be the selling price? You say, okay, selling price for our car or our product should be this much based on our cost and a profit. But might be people will not be able to buy in the market. So again, so you have to adjust it, or maybe it is okay, price is okay. So you have to estimate a selling price. As an engineer, you have to do it. Okay. Or what would be the life of this product? If you are selling a product, so after 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, whatever the life, customer will again purchase, for example. So estimating a product life, this is the job of engineers. You'll be making these decisions, remember. And engineers will be the one who will be making these type of decisions to predict the future. In order to make decisions, you need certain knowledge, you need certain concepts, you need certain techniques. You should have an understanding of certain tools to use in these type of decisions. Okay, so what are those decisions? What are those economic decisions? They are based on same concept, just like for your own personal economic decisions. If you are an engineer working in SABIC, you will be making decisions, or as an individual, you have to use your own personal financial affairs. For example, every month you have a limited amount in your pocket, right? Your personal financial affairs. I'm just saying as an example how we make decisions every month, right? So monthly budget you have, then based on that monthly budget, whether it is from your college stipend or the money you take from your father, brother, whatever your source of funds, right? Then you have to manage your financial, of course. No one has unlimited financial resources. Even you have millions, still it is limited, right? So within those limited resources, you have to make decisions. How much money to spend on clothing, on entertainment, on, let's say, mobile phone, on going outside, on traveling, right? So you have to see your budget, and then you have to make the decisions. Now, same thing you can apply for corporations. As an engineer, when you work, a corporation has limited financial resources, so you have to manage within those resources. You have to make a decisions, right? So how will you make a decisions for yourself? For example, understand now this concept, how you relate it to yourself. The first thing, as an individual, to live, we need food, for example, which is our essential needs. So what is our essential needs? We have to spend our money on those needs: food, clothing, housing, transportation, whatever the basic needs. Then whatever money is left, then it is up to you. We call them discretionary expenditures. Means it's up to one's choice. For example, food is basic need. You have to spend money. Whatever left, then you have to spend. Now same thing for organizations as well. There are essential needs for an organization, okay, like paying salary to their employees at the end of every month. You have to make sure that you have enough money so that you can pay salaries to your employees, you can pay electricity bill, as an example, you can make a payment to your supplier who are giving you raw material, you have to make. Then whatever money is left, then you can spend that money on some investment or travel or entertainment. For an organization, you have to decide, okay, if you have an extra money, you can go and put it in different investment. Okay, now what are the investment choices? They are not unlimited, right? Choices are unlimited, but your resources are limited. Remember, I can invest in thousands of things, but the resources are limited. Let's say you are left with 5,000 real. I'm just saying as an example, at the end of a month, what you could do with those 5,000 reals, you may invest them, you may spend that money on entertainment, travel. Let's say if you want to invest that 5,000 real, you say, okay, I will invest in the golds, or I will invest in the shares. So there could be different choices, investment choices for individual or for a corporations are unlimited, but resources are limited. What are the investment choices? You may invest in a bank account, in shares, or in a rental properties. You can buy a land, you can purchase a new business, one company can buy another company, right? So investment choices are unlimited, but how do we choose? This is important, the decision which you make. How do you choose, right? So what tools you use, right? Same thing, this is what you will be learned. This is what we will learn, what economic decisions will be made. This is what we will learn in this course. How we make our choices, how we choose between one alternative into another alternative. So the best investment strategy is, you have to see diversification. Don't invest in one thing always. That's what someone is saying, or we are saying in finance, right? That don't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to diversify your investment. That's why, countries are looking to diversifying their investment. That's how you see, let's say in our local environment, when you see Vision 2030 is diversifying from one source to another sources, diversifying. Same thing for an organization, same thing for a country, same thing could be applied for individual, that you have to diversify your investment. Okay, so the same concepts in engineering economics as well. What are the decisions when you make? You make engineering decisions, remember, as you make, individual makes decisions, engineering decisions. What do we mean by engineering decisions? For example, what should be the design of a product? Technical details, which is engineering decision based on technical knowledge. What should be the height of a bridge? What should be the maximum weight load for certain bridge construction, right? Or whatever the technical details for machines or for civil engineers or for mechanical engineers, those technical details you can get it through scientific knowledge, or through engineering knowledge. That's what we are saying, that let's say you want to design something, as an example, in design decisions, if you are an engineer, you are designing a machine, a robot, right? So you use available physical science knowledge of chemistry, physics, engineering designs, all things. So you come and you make an optimal design, which is easy. Easy means in terms of knowledge it is available. You have a ready-made product available in front of you. But in terms of economic decisions, as we said here, it is based on estimate. What would be the selling price? If we start a project or a product, what would be the cost when it's complete? Okay, right? Right, so economic decisions, let's say the construction of NEOM line, as an example. You know, it is an example in our real life environment, right? So it is all based on, remember, it is based on estimate that this is an attractive investment, right? It's easy that, okay, but it again, when the result will come, maybe after 10 years, right? We are saying that investment is attractive. Okay, if someone invests in NEOM, he will get a profit of 30%. It is straightforward, easy. But the information which is required to calculate that 30% is based on future, based on how much would be sale, how much would be selling price, how much would be different costs, and estimate can be up to 5-10 years. So that's why economic decisions are uncertain. Okay, time, how long, and the risk or uncertainty, this is the defining aspects of any engineering economic decisions, right? So if you see NEOM line, it is an engineering decision, but economics is involved with it as well. You will not just build it and leave it. So there should be an economic attractiveness as well. There should be an economic benefit. So that's why whenever we are making engineering decisions, they are easy in a sense that you know the result. You can build, let's say, the line project. That is engineering decision. You can construct it. But the economic decision is the attractiveness of that decision, right? How much profit it will generate, right? That depends on so much estimate. So that's why economic decisions are difficult. Okay. So what make economic decisions difficult is time and uncertainty. This is what you need to understand from this slide. Now, same concept you can apply for a large scale engineering projects like what we just discussed for a personal level. Same thing for a large scale. Large scale means like NEOM is a good example for a large scale project. It's a 10-year project, right? What will happen, right? You are developing a product. The line is a product. Of course, in developing the line project in NEOM, engineers were called in to translate the ideas, remember, into reality. So they use the same concept. So there will be new ideas for those products. It will be there, right? So real life also, you are in SABIC, you are in Aramco. So growth of any firm depends on a new ideas, constant flow of ideas given by engineers, whether it is for a new product or you want to remain competitive by decreasing cost, or you have to improve the existing product. So all those ideas will come from engineer or produce them at a lower cost. It is there. Whether it's a large scale or for a small scale, ideas should come from engineers and those ideas should make economic sense. For a large scale engineering project, concept is same. The only difference is you need large sum of money, billions of reals. It takes long time to see the result as compared to a 1-year project. And again, it is difficult to predict whether what will be our revenue, what will be our cost, as a result, what will be our profit. Again, it is difficult to predict. Someone has to make the decisions. Now, how a typical idea flow? This is just a one example for a one project in our book. Let's say how Toyota started. It is an example that for an hybrid car, how this project was developed, what were the questions answered by engineers, like why there is a need for a greener car, what was the unique in its design, is it safe to drive on rainy season when there is no sun. These are all engineering decisions. What are the economic decisions? What would be the cost? Will there be enough demand? What will be the risk in selling this product? So all of these are economic decisions, and above are engineering decisions. So someone has to make. Again, who will make these decisions? Engineers. So that's why you need to have an understanding of this course. Now, whenever you have any project, any idea, at the end, we would like to see the impact. How do you see the impact of your decisions on financial statements? What are the financial statements? We'll see it in chapter 2. Just like your transcript is the impact of your performance in your academic semester. Okay, so that's why what we are saying here, that engineers, they must understand the environment in which you are making the decisions. What are the risks? What is the economic environment? What is the currency risk? What is the supplier risk if they are based in other countries, right? So you need to have an understanding of a business environment, not only the technical knowledge, a business environment. You have to make certain decisions. Okay. Also, if you have an engineering project, it should generate a profit. Not only profit, it should improve the financial position of the firm. Now, for example, in case of Toyota, in this Prius project, which is for hybrid car, how can we measure the success? Just like for a student, you can see your grade or a GPA, right? You can measure your success if you have A plus in a course. You say, I did excellent. Now, same thing for organizations. How do they see whether they have succeeded in their project or not? It depends on some numbers, profitability. So that profitability is reflected in financial statements. That's why business organizations at the end, they have to prepare financial statements. Okay, so whether we should continue with that project or not, it depends on that profitability. So all companies, regardless of their size, you prepare basic financial statements. What are those financial statements? What are their purpose? We'll see it in chapter number 2. So at the end of every year, a business has to prepare different financial statements. Just like a student, at the end, you get your transcript, which is a statement, right? And that transcript provide the basis for your performance. Same thing for corporations, they have to prepare a financial statement, and you'll see whether your decision which you made about introducing a new lathe machine resulted in the improvement of profit or not, for example. So financial statement provide the basis for your future investment analysis. Then you will see, okay, whether we achieved the result. If we did not achieve it, what went wrong? You take corrective actions. You will know it only when you see the numbers in front of you. So this is one typical example of a financial statement. There are different types of financial statement. One of them is income statement. This is the income statement of SABIC. Income statement tells us, in simple word, just what was the sales. I'll just take a number only. And what is the net income, net profit? How these numbers, what are these concepts? We'll see it later on. You can see that in case of SABIC for 2013, their sales was this number, right? And at the end, their profit is this much, the net profit. Of course, there are different classification. We have a gross profit, we have cost of sales. What are these concepts? This is what you will learn in this course. Chapter 2 deals with income statement and other financial statements. Now, the decisions to be made by engineers. This is just some example, typical examples of some decisions made by engineers. So how are we going to make? For example, equipment and process selection. You have to choose between CNC lathe machine and, sorry, I'll go back. So equipment selection, which equipment to use, which machine to use, right? This is what we mean by equipment selection decision. This is what we call it. So how can we make these decisions, right? For example, out of 2-3 machines, you have to choose what is the best choice, what is the best course of action which meets your requirement. Okay, for example, another example could be, out of 4, 5, 6 different raw material, which we should choose to use in our product. Okay, which one will give largest savings by keeping the quality same? Okay, because the type of material we use, it depends on the manufacturing process you will apply as an engineer. So which factor will affect that, which type of a material you should consider, right? What will be the cost of machinery, cost of equipment, cost of labor, right? What we should be using. So we'll be making these decisions, right? Which you include is the engineer. Okay, so you may look at what will be the assembly cost or production cost, or what should be the scrap out of this engineering process. So you are the one who will be making this decision about which manufacturing process to use or which equipment to use. Or second one is equipment replacement, another decision. You are replacing one with something else, one machine, one car, any equipment. Again, as an engineer, you'll be making this is just some example, right? You are considering different expenditures in order to replace, for example, an equipment which becomes obsolete. Okay, so for example, you purchase some machine, the life is 5 year, now the life year finish, right? Or you see that the machine was supposed to use for 10 years, but after 5 years efficiency of the machine becomes low, so we need to replace this machine, right? So you have to find a reason, right? What are the machine's cost, right? If we purchase a new machine, why it would provide a better benefit, and what was the reason for the previous machine to become obsolete. Again, you are the one who will be making these decisions. Is it clear? Another type of decision could be new product. Next one, about new product or product expansion decision. Maybe you just want to start a new product, right? As we said, for a business to grow, you have to increase the sales, you have to become competitive. How can you become competitive if your engineers gives you new idea, right? So to create a new product, right? So you say, okay, we need to create a new product, we need to establish a new facility, new factory, right? So these decisions. Point number 2, replacement. Okay, second point I'll explain. Let's say uh, Ahmed Abdullah. Let's say you are working in a firm which is using, let's say, a lathe machine that was purchased, let's say, 10 years ago, right, to produce certain products. Let's say pump shaft as an example. I hope you, as an engineer, you know what is pump shafts, right? So you are, let's say, a production engineer. You are in charge of this product. Okay. You see that this product is very, you can say that, famous in the market, right? And we can sell it easily, right? Our shafts, our pump shaft. But our lathe machine is, because of the age, it is, not performing well. So mostly it is broken, and as a result, there is always, we have more scraps, right? So we need to replace this machine or repair it. Let's say you have to make a decision, right? This is normal, whether to replace this machine or repair this machine. Okay. Now, what will be your decision? Replace or repair? You need some numbers, right? Is it okay to purchase a new lathe machine, or better to repair it and next year we will buy a new one when funds are available? So all this analysis, right, whichever decision you take is based on some numbers, right? What will be the cost of new lathe machine? What will be the repair cost? So that is the decision made by engineers. Okay. Similarly, next one, which is cost reduction, another decision. Cost reduction. Again, you have to give an idea as an engineer. How can you reduce the cost of your pump shaft, as an example? Let's continue the same one, right? How can we reduce the cost? Okay. You have to give an idea what you need to purchase new machine, or you have to change a material, or you have to train the employees because there were a lot of material wastage, right? So you are the one, as an engineer, you'll be making these decision. Okay. Or another decision, improve the service. Sometimes they say, okay, we cannot do all those things as we say above. Maybe customers, there is a requirement from a customer, right, that they need some customer service. If there is a breakup in their pump shaft, or if it's not working properly, engineer should be available on call to come and fix their problem. This is a customer service, right? So you may improve the customer service or improve the quality of your product. This is also the decisions to be made by engineer decisions. Now, in order to make those decisions, these are basic principles which are applicable in all those decisions. Remember, this course is about certain economic decisions made by engineers, and those decisions are based on certain principles, certain rules. What are those rules? It says principle number one, or we call it time value of money, which is the another name. I'll just time value of money, or nearby dollar worth more than a distant dollar. Why we call it this one? For example, now how much money you receive today is different than how much you will receive in the future. That is the reason in our daily life, right? What we are doing, let's say when you are purchasing a car, the cash price is different than the installment price. Is it correct? Maybe a cash price is 50,000 for a car, but if you purchase the same car on installment, maybe for a 3-year installment, you are paying 80,000, right? So the same car becomes different, right? So this is what we are saying, a nearby dollar is worth more than a distant dollar. Understand, this is very important concept. This is what we will be discussing in chapter number 3, 4, and 5, this principle. What are the tools, what are the techniques? This one will be done basically in chapter number, I'll just mentioning it here so that you know, chapter 3, 4, 5 even. Up to these 3 chapters, it will be based on this concept. Principle number 2, which is what is count is the difference between alternatives. If you have to make a decision, you have to choose between alternatives, between choices. Yes, yes, it is. That's why, if you put, say, in other word, this example, a company take 40,000, which is a less amount than the installment of 80,000 in 3 years. So 40,000 as a cash or 80,000 in installment is the same thing, right? In other words, 40,000 today is better than 80,000. If you are paying after 3 years, no one will pay 40,000 in the car, right? You have to pay more. Okay, so this is the concept. Now, principle number 2, what is count is the difference among alternatives. What do we mean by this one? This one, you are making a decision. I'll give you an example for CNC lathe machine and for, let's say, manual lathe machine. If you are purchasing two machines, maybe let's say cost is the only item, but let's say the maintenance cost or the cost of electricity, for example, is same. I'm assuming. Let's say you are calculating a cost for whether to purchase a CNC lathe machine or manual lathe machine. I'm just saying as an example. Let's say for CNC lathe machine, the cost is 100,000. Okay. And for manual lathe machine, the cost is, let's say, 60,000. Okay. But the electricity cost, let's say, I'm just saying as an example, I'm just creating the number. Let's say electricity cost is 10,000 real per month. So this is very basic, very common concept, right? Now, if you have to choose between a CNC lathe machine and a manual lathe machine, now this one, this information, in order to make a decision, remember you have to pay this money, but in order to make the decision, this information is not relevant because it is same under both alternatives. If you want to make a decision, it is based on either this number or based on this number. This is relevant. Okay, this is what we are saying, is that all the count is the difference between alternatives. This one is not alternative, it is same. So this one should not be considered. You have to make a choice between these two. Let's say 100,000 is CNC machine, 60,000 is lathe machine. Okay. No, let's say you will take, it depends on the amount of money is available to you. You have to look at others. What about the investment available? Okay. So the point here is you will discuss with your management these two options, 100 and 60, whatever it is, right? The electricity per month is not important in making a decision because it is same. If electricity cost is different, then you will consider. Yes, okay. Yeah, that's okay. These are the concepts which we need. So basically, the choosing between different alternatives, different tools, we'll be studying this one basically in chapter number 8. Will be, can I write it here? So it's principle number 2. You'll see more detail in chapter number 8 and 9 something. So you'll be studying these things here. What are these different tools? Another one is marginal revenue. It will be also considered in chapter number 8 as well. Must exceed the marginal cost. Means marginal revenue means the additional revenue if you, yeah, it's okay. We are not discussing CNC machines. The technicality, let's say, technical details are discussed. It's their own benefit. Whatever the benefit are there, if you have to choose a decision based on the money, okay, then you have to compare between these two. Okay, so marginal revenue means that, what is the marginal revenue? First of all, you have to understand, any organization or a production, there is a production capacity. I hope you, as an engineer, you understand there is a production capacity. Just like a class, there is a class capacity, a physical class. I'm not talking about an online class because it has unlimited capacity. But for a physical on-campus class, there is a class capacity in terms of rooms, space in the room, right? Now, apply the same concept in production. There is a production capacity, right? For example, if you have an order you receive from a customer, but that is beyond your capacity, in order to meet that capacity or meet that requirement, you have to open either a new section in terms of our academic environment, or in terms of technical, maybe you have to install a new machinery in order to achieve that revenue, right? So what is the additional revenue you get from that customer, and what is the additional cost which you spend? It is very important to make the decision to accept an order or not to accept an order. This one you will see it in chapter number 8, again more detail, right? So this one also a decision you have to make as an engineer. So marginal revenue means the benefit, additional benefit should be more than the additional cost. Okay, maybe you accept an order from a customer for 100,000 units, but as a result the cost is more than, because you have to establish, buy a new machinery, you have to hire new employees, and the cost exceeded the sales. So that's why this is another principle. As an engineering economics, you are making a decision as an engineer, you have to make sure that marginal revenue must exceed the marginal cost. And last principle is the additional risk. Means when you take a risk, make sure you have additional benefits. If you are introducing a new product, what is the additional return? It should be more than if you don't take the risk. Okay, so this is another principle, that if you are taking or if you are investing in a risky project, so profit should be more than the normal project, right? Your return should be higher if you are taking a risk. Okay, so these are the 4 basic principles of fundamental engineering economics which you should need to have an understanding. So this is the explanation which I have already done on the same slide, that what is the difference. This is just a one example which is not important. As for example, you have to decide between alternatives between 2 cars, right? If you want to buy a car, so if you have to buy a car or if you have to lease a car, fuel cost is same, right? In both situation, other information are different, right? You can see here there is a different information, initial cost, whatever it is. So your decision should not be based on these numbers. Remember, it should be based on whatever you have, either this scenario or this scenario, because this one is not relevant. Monthly fuel cost is not relevant in our decision making process. This is another example. This was the example of a marginal revenue, that if a marginal revenue, it should exceed the marginal cost. Additional revenue should be more than the additional cost if you accept an order. additional risk, right? If you don't take additional risk, if there is no higher return, right? So if you are taking a more risk, it should be compensated with higher return. If, for example, if you are putting better packaging, as a result, it increase the quality, right? So sales volume should increase. Okay. If you are spending 200,000 on advertising, for example, for higher sales, you are taking a risk, right? So your sales should increase. Okay. You are spending more money on advertisement, so your sale should increase. Otherwise, there is no point. You are spending something, you're taking a risk, so you expect a return should be higher. This is the point. This is just one example, right? That a recent graduate has the option of receiving, you have an, let's say, look at this example. You either receive 5,000 as a bonus as a one lump sum amount now, understand, or 2,500 at the end of next each year, right? 25,000 in next year and 2,500 in a year after. So what is the best way, right? What is the decision he's making, right? So what is the decision, right? So that's why the answer is a nearby dollar is worth more than this one. You can just read it. This is just a one example and have a practice. So this one is done with our chapter. Chapter number 1 is done. Next week we will start from chapter number 2. Already, if you see the first slide, Abdul Majid, it is already mentioned how many chapters we will cover in this course. This was mentioned there. Okay. Okay, so that's it. Anyone has a question? Because we did not take a break, so we'll be finishing now early. Okay, so I'm finishing a class now. Okay, okay, thank you very much. So if there is no question, thank you. End of our class, and you would like to leave, you may leave.